77 Honda Civic CVCC. Just a little walk around. I have pictures, but video is always nice. That's exterior wise. The hatch is in good shape. All these little emblems, of course, were plastic and kind of flaking off. I just replaced, I think, that one from the junkyard. It's a little nicer. This could use a repaint, but I like the genuineness of it. You can see this original seal is getting old, but I don't know. I kind of like it. This could be cleaned up too, but overall in pretty good shape. It's got this cheesy muffler tip on it. I've always left it on there because what the heck. Leaf springs, as you can see in the rear. Biggest problem you're going to see with this car exterior wise is right here. Can we see this? Okay. So there's a dent in this rear panel. You can see some light surface rust there, the paint flaking off. I've never done anything with this. If you can see, the angle of the bumper is off maybe 10 degrees because of it. But I don't know, it hasn't bothered me too much. Wheels, those are the original steel wheels, all painted black, kind of cheesy, and not painted all that great, but from a normal distance they look fine. You can see again there's some surface rust. Nothing too major, and let's look at that on the hatch too. Right there. See, this is present. I don't want to pretend it's not. This is all repainted as well. I don't know when, but the more you look at it, the more you know that it was repainted at one time. A little bit more of a heavier flake brown, I think, than the original. This seal is actually pretty good, but the seals in this car are an issue. I'm fixing the taillight right now. I'm just replacing a bulb. So the rear here does have this carpet still. It is a mess, but it exists. Side panels are here, but obviously the speakers aren't there. Original radio is also in the car, but I've never actually hooked up any speakers. Rear seat folds down as it's supposed to. Ta-da! But let's stick to the outside a little bit more. Okay. All the wheels. These tires are actually, the tread looks great, but they're very, very old, and safety-wise, they should probably be replaced. I have another set of wheels that are much nicer, but honestly, I just like how these look better. There's a bad tint on the two rear windows. It was on all the windows, but I took it off because it's terrible. There you can see some paint coming off on this door area here. There's a ding right there. These are the original edgings down along the bottom. It's probably too dark to see, but as you can imagine, for a 37-year-old car, it's not perfect, but mount points are still there. These front panels are in good shape. Paint chips there on the hood. It's a clamshell style hood. Just replaced this nozzle maybe a year ago. Windshield's decent. It could be better. Front. It's everything original here. This could be cleaned up a little bit. I did paint this, and it didn't do the best, but it looks better than it did. Those are sealed beam headlights, so very easy to replace, very cheap. This is broken and has bird shit on it, but I tried to find another one in the junkyard, but the mounting points aren't the same. And this is actually the new one that I did put in. This panel is in good shape. Along the cowl here, you'll see a little bit of rust here. There's my finger, and here. Overall, the hood, and I think the body's in great shape considering how quickly these cars rusted out back in the day. Nothing too exciting here. The hood's it's a bit dirty, but it's all nice and smooth. Inside, well, let's start in the rear to make things seem better. The rear seat, here's the positive. Well, door cards are nice. Windows and everything work. These door seals are starting to rot out. supposedly you can change them off of a older Accord or of course an older Civic. I just haven't been to the junkyard to get one or order any. This side is nice and in good shape still. The seat itself, the rear seat, is in excellent shape. Obviously has not been used anywhere near as much as the front seats, which we will get into. And headliner is this weird gray, but that's the way it's always been. And I've got this cheesy seat cover on for a girl who doesn't like sitting on the garbage that is my seat. So 1 second. Let me pause. Okay, we're back here. All of that just to show you this back of the seat. This mark's probably been there 30 years. And this little ashtray, I don't know if it's been used, but it's kind of cool. Like I said, the carpet down there is original. Panels are all in place. The windows all work. The door seals could use some work. But let's check out the front. You'll see where the shitty seats are. I just replaced this little antenna too. It's kind of cool, but again, I don't actually have a radio, but junkyard pick. So hey, the doors look great. Again, these door seals should be replaced at some point, but it's these seats that I have not been able to fix. Of course, I could just have them redone, but I'm trying to keep everything in this car entirely original. And finding these seats at a junkyard has not happened yet, at least not in these colors. So you see the driver's seat, that's bugged up. I do use it as is, I don't really care. And I keep a cover on this for the girlfriend. She doesn't like, she doesn't like the seat. Floorboards, as you can see, there's no carpet up here. But the floorboards themselves are in excellent shape. Obviously it's a 4-speed manual transmission, and that's the original radio. Most of these you'll see have been cut with the radio here. Original dash and everything, and yes, again, there are cracks here. This is the ashtray, cracks along the top there. I do have a cover for it. For the window or whatever, but I don't know why anyone would use that. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, original stick. This is pretty dark. Instrument panel. It says, what, 62,000 miles. I've had this car 2 years and 4 months. I've only put on maybe 3,500 miles. Not because I don't like driving it, I just don't drive to work. So I just drive it on weekends fishing or grocery store. Let's start it up and then we can look under the hood too. To start, usually you want to use the choke a little bit, enrich it. And you'll also notice on this car, here's the mirror, no passenger side mirror. That's not an error, that's just, these were pretty basic. There's also no air conditioning. If there were, it would be sitting where this glove box is a giant lump, like something that would sit in your window in your dorm room. I don't know. I don't miss it, I know that. So pump the pedal twice to prime the carb. Make sure you're out of gear, for God's sake, because it will take off. There is no, see, that's my turn signal, that's bad right there. That's what I'm working on. But let's see, maybe a little, let's go no choke and see what happens. Yeah. See, with the choke, it holds okay. Just kidding. That's the choke in the first detent. Second detent's probably best to let it warm up. So there's the choke, interior lights, turn signal, horn works, and it's not very masculine. You got the shifter here. The hood pop is right down here. And we will pull this outside so you can see what else you're dealing with. It's a clam style hood, which is nice. All of this is original. Only thing I've really replaced is the transmission. You can see I got the old 4-speed here. It just had bad synchros, but finding synchros is a lot harder than finding a new transmission. I also replaced the top of the air filter for something with a little better seal on it. The radiator is new, but that's an old stock radiator, very hard to find. They are all brass, so they are not cheap. Plugs and wires, of course, very easy to change. And I put the Pertronix electronic ignition in here too, makes it fire a lot better. That's the stock coil. The check valve there's been changed. This little weird bag is actually the wiper washer fluid. It sits in a bag. Let me pull it out. That's also a brand new alternator, and that's a new starter down there. And when I say new, I mean remanufactured old Nippon or Denso. Not cheap Rock Auto will work stuff, but again, it's not the original part that came with the car, as in the very first one, but it is the same part. So I try to keep everything the same here. The carburetor I rebuilt maybe 3 months ago. That was fun. I learned something out of that. But let me pull it out in the sun for you, and we'll cut the choke down so you can hear what it sounds like normally. Okay, not going to run anyone over. Okay, here we go. Yes, choke is still on. I'm setting this down for a minute while I park. It's running at its normal speed, not quite up to operating temp, but you can see it a little better out here, I would think. I should have washed it, but you see a ton of pictures of it washed. I don't think that's a problem. Pretty clean exhaust. Just passed emissions within the month. Scored very good, much better than when I first purchased it. This is a 77, so you will be smogging it if you're in California. And that's also why, quite honestly, why it's so original parts-wise. Any other part of the country, that engine would be swapped, or there'd be a Weber carb on it, or a bunch of other little modifications that may make it more fun, but it won't be what this car really was. Also, if you look at that rear wheel gap, everyone thinks that's so ridiculous. But those are leaf springs back there, and that is what the car was set up like. If you lowered it, it would look better, that's true, but it wouldn't look like when it came out of the factory. So also under the hood, I have replaced the valve guide seals in here. That helps. They do break over time. It's a common fix, and that leads to a little bit of oil leaking down and causing smoke on startup. Like I said, the Pertronix is changed here. Radiator was already changed. I changed the cables for the battery. Nothing too exciting there. The carburetor was rebuilt. Runs much cleaner. New cover on the timing belt here. I do have another timing belt and a bunch of engine seals and stuff, but quite honestly, it runs well and it doesn't seem to be slipping at all. The belt's in good shape, so I'm not changing it just for the sake of changing it. Alternator, brand new from Right Way Alternators in San Francisco. Brand new meaning remanufactured old one. It's not a Rock Auto $40 one. That's a $110 real alternator, as it should be. Original. Yeah, there are some weird tubes going on inside here. You're gonna get used to vacuum tubes. It's not quite as bad as the 80s Hondas, but they are present. Little split in this tube here. I need to get that fixed. It's holding on. Quite honestly, it still works. I'm letting it be. Let me just walk around one more time. And let me point out the rust spots too, again, just because I like to be picky. You can see them along the cowl here, one there, those two right over there. The hood itself, you got a couple little scratches here, but it's a wonderful looking car from 10 feet away. From 2 feet away, if you're like me, you notice it all. Rust. A little flaking along there. You can see how it shines in the sun. It looks good, it really does, especially if it weren't so dusty, but I think you get the idea of it. Maybe you can see the interior a little better here. Again, no speakers there, but original panels. Those can be replaced easy enough if you care. I really do not. I got to replace this screw right here. I'm going to do that right now. It will leak a little drop of oil now and then, but really nothing of mention. I've changed the oil every 6 months. I mean, every 1,000 miles, for God's sake, just because I enjoy it. And why not? I'm not gonna risk anything, and I like to play with my car. There's the damage to the rear there. You can see this. Hopefully the light isn't killing it. That could be hammered out, no doubt, but for me, I don't know. It's not a big deal. I'll show, so here's the oil pan. You can see that drip there. It does happen. I do have 4 more tires on these Mazda RX-2 wheels back here. You'll see them in photos better than you will right here, but these are actually nice tires. Much nicer than the others. 14 inches rather than 13 inch, and they do handle a lot better. It's just I like the look of the black, and these are plastic dipped white. They could use a real painting. It looks okay. Doesn't look god awful, but the wheels themselves are actually this mustard yellow, which, while is a totally legit 70s look, kind of wears on you too. All right, I'm gonna go on the road real quickly to AutoZone, drop off this oil, and maybe you can hear the car a little bit, and buy this bulb. That is why we are going. I'll start a new. All right, here we go. I'm not gonna hold this well because I'm not an asshole. No power steering, that should be clear. It's a 77 economy car. This is not a fast car, but it's a fun car. I'm only going to film for a minute because this is weird. And I have to shift. There's going to be some bad shifts here. All right. You're wondering, yes, this is San Francisco, South Side, about to enter Daly City. There's the cell phone police right there. New Taurus.